Hello and welcome to the Talk with Tariro. Today on the program, we want to look at the lived realities of COVID. Mainly not looking at it from the medical perspective, but the social economic perspective. We are looking at the challenges that we are facing. Currently, we are on lockdown. At the same time, with the restrictions, no movements, loss of income, a lot of people are actually psychologically affected. I actually had a chat with one person who was talking about how her aunt had to be at home after losing her husband. People were scared to actually go to her house. Our government is talking about limiting gatherings to 30 people. You are grieving, you are on your own. Even going on social media, the number of rest in peace messages that we're witnessing on a day to day basis, how are they affecting us psychologically? Some people have actually decided to be completely off social media, anxiety attacks, etc. Helping us to tackle that issue on the program, I'm joined by Advocate Arthur Marara. He is an attorney, an author, as well as a speaker. You say the transformational speaker.
Yeah, I love transformation, eh?
Thank you so much and welcome to the Talk.
Well, thank you so much. It's finally good to be on your show.
Thank you for actually agreeing to be here.
Thank you.
During this particular time where it has become so challenging. My issue, Advocate, is a lot of people in Zimbabwe at the moment, we feel like we've reached a dead end when it comes to COVID. Incomes are eroded, we're not even working, you're home, you don't know what to do, and you don't even know where the COVID is going to go.
You're right. I think we need to stress the point that COVID is a reality. And for some weird reason, some people have a very casual approach to COVID, but people are dying, as a matter of fact. You're talking about the rest in peace messages. Every time I'm seeing this on my status on WhatsApp, and for real, people are dying. So for me, I think the most important thing right now is to actually stay alive. So you can have all the money, but if you're dead, it's of no use. So I really want people to learn to appreciate the gift of life. And once you appreciate the gift of life, it's going to also enable you to pursue the other things that life has to offer. So first thing that we need to focus on, before talking about money, is stay alive. And how do you stay alive? Trust me, COVID does not move on its own. It's moved by people. So you see, those restrictions, painful as they are, I think they're really for our good. Because globally, some countries have recorded some very terrible numbers in terms of the mortality, in terms of the infection rates. Our neighbor South Africa, they were talking of over 1 million infections. You see, South Africa makes us very vulnerable because we share a border with it. We've got border jambas, we've got people who are coming from South Africa, some with dubious COVID certificates.
What someone will say is, how do we survive during such a period?
You see, right now, I think the most important thing is to actually work on our way of thinking. It becomes very important. So what COVID has done, it has introduced us to the future, unfortunately or fortunately. The future is becoming digital. So if you have been selling vegetables physically, it means you now need to digitize. In fact, the message that I'm always telling people everywhere you are is don't necessarily change what you're doing. Simply change how you have been doing it. So you see, the bulk of 2020, one of the things that I do is speaking and training. Now, I was used to that setup where you just go and you go and present to a live audience. And I didn't know that you can actually do a broadcast, speak to people of various locations online. I'm realizing, okay, I'm actually doing the very same things, but I'm simply doing it in a different way. And interestingly, do you know the guy who set up Zoom became a billionaire last year in 2020 just because of this crisis? So going back to what I was talking about, the mindset that we need to shift how we think. So that, yes, things are hard, but we simply also need to be able to say, okay, I'm going to refuse to be a victim. I'm going to decide to be a victor in such a situation. This gentleman called William Arthur Ward, he says something very interesting about adversity. He says adversity causes some men to break and others to break records. Adversity causes some men to break and others to break records. Meaning the moment we shift the way of thinking, it enables us to view adversity differently. So rather than sink with adversity, we need to think with adversity. What is it that I can do differently in this environment? Okay, how have I been making money before COVID? Okay, I've been selling stuff. So it means rather than me opening a shop physically, I can actually find ways of ensuring that they can get that same product, that same service through a delivery service. Rather than me walking around looking for people, why don't I use the very same technology that I have at my disposal, which is my WhatsApp? Why can't I use it to make my products known and find ways to ensure that the product is getting there? So you see, right now, COVID has actually made billionaires of people operating in the digital space. Talk about Amazon. I'm giving you common examples, by the way. Amazon is not doing anything out of this world. It's simply providing the things that you need daily. And how are they doing it? They're simply ensuring that you don't necessarily have to walk into a physical shop. You simply go to your computer, you simply need to look what you want, then order, then they'll deliver. Which is why I think as Zimbabweans, we have the capacity. By the way, we are very educated in Zimbabwe. And I think what we now need to do is to mine our information, mine our knowledge, refine it with our experiences and experiences from other places, and see how can we do some things differently. By the way, one of the things which we need to stress, COVID or no COVID, is the ability to sell. Because this conversation is going to sustain you even after COVID. Because you see, after COVID, you still need to be making money. And how are you making money? Which is why I think it's very important for people to master the art of selling and marketing. Realizing that you yourself, you are actually a brand. So if you can give advice over the phone and someone can pay you via the mobile platforms, you can be making money. If you can grow vegetables and sell to your neighbors, you can still be making money. If you can keep your road runners behind your backyard and sell them to somebody, you can still be making money. So we need that entrepreneurial mindset. That's what we need. You see, we talk so much about unemployment, but even the people who are getting employed or who are employed, they're not getting salaries.
Yes.
So even if you're locked out from an employment place where you've not been getting a salary, truth be told, no difference.
Definitely no difference. Advocate Malala is really challenging us, saying as Zimbabweans, this is the time for us to mine our knowledge. He spoke about the need for us to have that ability to sell, master the art of selling, market as well your products. And he's saying once you do that, even post-COVID, your life will never be the same. Join us after the break. Our discussion today, where we are looking at the lived realities of COVID, continues on the talk with Tariro. And like I said, we have Advocate Arthur Malala. Advocate Malala, often you've spoken about people talk about there are others who are actually employed.
Yeah.
They have salaries. And you're saying actually people are actually not getting paid.
Many.
And I've found that oftentimes as a people, we have this negative thinking where even the suggestions that we've spoken about to say, go on Amazon, use your WhatsApp, somebody would then say, I can't do that. I don't have data. I actually can't even, I don't even have a smartphone. I don't have this. You know, we often always find excuses. How can that be addressed?
You see, if something is very important, you'll find a way. If it's not, you'll find an excuse. And I think the number one problem of Zimbabweans, we are so good at looking for excuses. And one of the things that I need to help people, like we said, before COVID, things were not okay. But you see, many people are waiting for things to be okay, but it doesn't actually operate that way. It's you who has to be okay. Your way of thinking has to be okay. Your way of doing things has to become better, and eventually things will become better. But you see, if you attune your level to a level of excuses, guess what? You can perfectly explain the way you're doing your things. However, that's not going to change anything. So we need to get to a level of responsibility where you realize no one is coming to change your life. So you can tell us A to Z about how you lost your parents, how you lost your father, how poor you were born. That's not going to add any value to you. Taking responsibility, realizing, okay, I'm born poor, it's fine, I understand that. But living poor is a choice. Dying poor is also a choice. Giving birth to babies and make them poor is a choice. So we need people to get to that responsibility where we stop looking for excuses. I lost my father when I was 18 years of age. Grew with a single mother. I love my mother so much. Became a vendor for me to go to school. But for me, at this age, I can't be telling you I'm an orphan. That's a sign of insanity. So we need to get to a level where we realize you are an adult. Then, what do you want with your life? Realize you can't delegate your own growth to someone else. So a number of people were looking for this person who is going to come and change your life. It doesn't work that way. You need to do your own growing. You don't hire someone to do your own growing. The same way you don't pay someone to go on a treadmill to work out for you, you need to work out your own growth. So in Zimbabwe, I want you to notice this. Many people are actually making progress while other people are attacking people who are making progress.
Someone will then say, but already I'm actually locked down. I'm not supposed to leave my gate. So how do I go and clean someone's house?
Can I tell you one?
We are talking about addressing the challenges that we are facing during this COVID.
All right, I'll tell you one thing. You'll be shocked. Now we've got more digital gadgets more than human beings. So if you're actually watching us on television, you've got a starting point. If you're watching this thing on Facebook, on YouTube, you've got a starting point. Learn to start with the little that you have. Learn to start, even if it means borrowing a phone, just to say, do it. That's why I said, if you really want something, you find a way. If you don't, you find an excuse. If you really want to change your life, you confront it and you change it. You see, many people say I'm attacking many people's lifestyles, but look at some of the expensive hairstyles. And I'm like, why would you put a $500 hairpiece on a head that's struggling? No, but see, if you're really serious about it, you realize, no, it's not about showing off. It's about facing and confronting reality. That's why I don't believe in fake it until you make it. Face it until you change it. Because you can't change what you don't confront. So face it. What am I looking at? What am I dealing with? Then change it. And during this lockdown, one of the things you can never do is to learn. Zimbabweans were illiterate, but we don't want to learn. By literate, it simply means reading and writing. And by the way, that's not a special thing.
Yeah.
The bulk of the guys who are making money, they're not that literate. In Zimbabwe, about 90% literacy rate, over 90%. Very impressive. Yet we've got one of the highest levels of financial illiteracy. People who don't know the money, how money operates, how money functions. So you see now, we're coming from December. Many people got bonuses, and guess what? They spend it in December. Why? Because they wanted to feel good, and guess what? January, we've been given an extension of a holiday. So I think we need to realize that we need to view our lives holistically and to realize that some of the actions, the choices we've been making, they will eventually catch up with us during lockdown. And by the way, in lockdown, try to be as real as possible. If your money doesn't allow you to eat some of the lavish meals, eat what's there. Eat what's there. You don't have anyone to impress. No one will ever know what you've put in your tummy. Mind your business. Know where you want to go. And this 30 days, by the way, is also going to enable you to stop spending because you're not going to pay for bus fare. You're not going to be going to those lavish restaurants. It means you've got some few dollars to spare. By the way, the basic things of life are not expensive. Talk about your kovo, your rape, talk about your cooking. They are not very expensive. By the way, you see, in Zimbabwe, if you're actually going to be realistic, to look at the prices as they are right now, times the rate, you'll be shocked. The prices are almost the same in US dollars. Meaning, those few dollars, you can actually do a proper basket.
But where am I getting those few dollars? Uzumba Maramba Foundation.
All right, by the way, you've got land, you've farmed. Thank God you've been given inputs to farm. That's a starting point. You've got a small garden where you've been doing your vegetables. That's a starting point. You've got a few road runners, which you've been keeping. And I hope you've been keeping them. And it's raining as well. You have got a starting point. You have got Mubora, which is even healthier. You have got a starting point. So it's not the complex things of life. Look at the price of pizza. Look at the price of millimil. I just want you to look at this. The price of pizza, big $10, millimil, $4.5. Even a bucket of maize. So learn to produce certain things. Don't necessarily buy things. Learn to produce. If you can do your own vegetables, don't go and buy vegetables. If you can do your own onions, don't go and buy onions. If you can do your own whatever, don't buy. So learn to use land that you have. So right now, I'll tell you one thing. The bulk of the people who are in trouble are the people in some of the splash suburbs. Not the person out there. No, they're not that in trouble. Why? Because they're realistic. Because Mbambara Zaki is in place. But this guy says, no, I want a croissant, I want blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you guys, you don't even know the spelling of croissant. I'm like, go back to the basics. Do my fate cook and so forth. Yeah, okay.
Well, that's advocate Barada. We'll continue with our discussion after the break. But really, one thing that he spoke about is be careful how you think. Your life, You said your life
It's
is
determined.
shaped,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's shaped by your thoughts.
determined by your thoughts.
You're right.
And we often hear young people talking about fake it until you make it.
It doesn't work.
He is saying face it until you change it. Join us after the break. Welcome back. We continue with our discussion where Advocate Arthur Marara is really challenging us in terms of when we're looking at the lived realities of COVID-19, and we're not looking at it from a medical perspective, but really looking on the day-to-day issues that we face. And Advocate, people who might be watching us now and are struggling, often people think this is theoretical.
Yeah.
When you go on the ground, that's not the reality. And I'm also looking at people who are grieving, people who are psychologically affected.
You're right.
How best can we deal with, when I'm faced with that, how best can I deal with it?
All right, so I'm not a psychotherapist, but number one, death is going to come to all of us. Not an easy period. But you see, how we go is different. Some are going to go in a very grievous way, but I think we need to, number one, like I said, celebrate the gift of life. Number two, let's learn to celebrate people during their time so that when we lose them eventually, we celebrate the memories that they gave us. For me, I think that's very important. Secondly, many people, they're actually losing jobs during this period. Why? Because, come on, if I'm closed and my business model revolves around seeing people, it means I can't keep you. Meaning, even if you've got a job, this is also the time to think beyond your salary. And by the way, this conversation is going to be more useful the moment we've got 12 months in perspective. Realize that the preparation does not necessarily have to start now.
Yes.
It says to start long time ago. In one of my books on financial freedom, the point that I make is you need to have what is called an emergency fund. An emergency fund, something strikes, like a COVID year, and you're supposed to be home for 30 days, even 90 days.
Yes.
What's your game plan for survival? So you see, a number of people, it's a hand to mouth type of thing, which means even after COVID, you need to sit down with yourself and make adjustments. Right now, I'll give an example. There's someone who is renting some property where they're paying 500 USD a month. And you're earning in RTGs, and the source of money are saying the Lord will provide. And I'm saying, when you're logged in, the landlord is expecting their rentals.
Exactly.
That there is COVID, that's another thing, but they're expecting their rentals. And right now, the majority of the people are actually in trouble. I think I've made this point. There are people who pay their life so high, they're on borrowed life. No offense, some stay even in borrowed. They are on a borrowed life, trying to prove a point to people who don't care. And when reality strikes those people, they don't care. And they don't even want to know what's happening in your life. So what am I saying? We really need to introspect. What is the nature of our income? How many sources of income do we have? If it means you're going to change your location, do it for the sake of your peace of mind. Because you see, a number of people, we confuse stupidity and endurance. Don't enjoy in things that are not working. Be realistic. If it means this suburb is not going to do me well, adjust. You can even move out at night if you're afraid that people will see. Relocate. And when you relocate, do something that's realistic. If you want to maintain that lifestyle, it's very simple. You simply adjust your income. So that once you adjust your income, you don't feel it. So I want people during this period to do a reality check. A reality check. So if you can't afford to go for 3 months without going to work, you're in trouble. It simply means you're not well prepared. And secondly, we need to value the health of our family. You see, right now, the worst thing is to be in need of a ventilator or a facility with a ventilator. Not necessarily because we don't have, but because the facilities are overwhelmed. And we need to understand that. Funeral homes are actually overwhelmed as we speak right now. So you might think that, no, these guys are not being able to provide 1, 2, 3 things. No, it's not necessarily so. It's because it's just overwhelming. So what should you do in such an environment? Don't put yourself in a vulnerable position where you have to edge the overwhelming circumstances. So my advice, and this is the advice that I'm always giving to people, be simple. Mind your business. You're not competing with anyone. Be realistic. If you've got children, learn to teach them and let them learn to embrace the way things are. They should not be surprised that we're now being moved from A to B. Let's learn to do that. Why? The goal is peace of mind. That's why I don't admire expensive vehicles. Admire what's driving you. Admire where you're parking it at night. So I'm not impressed by those guys who are saying, no, I did blah, blah, blah. No, I don't care. My focus is what you want to do. Did you do it? My focus is what's driving you, not what you're driving. My focus is, okay, whatever location, are you actually able to sleep? There are people with mansions who are not sleeping, by the way. So don't admire anything you see on social media. Yeah, you're actually better in your one room as you speak. Right now, you're far much better in your one room. So if it gives you peace of mind, do it. But most importantly, I want you to realize that there's no season that is permanent. Even difficulties, they're not permanent. Even wealth is not permanent. Even money is not permanent. Even mourning is not permanent. Seasons, they come and they go. But the most important thing is our attitude in each and every season. And as a country, we're going through a very difficult season. But most importantly, don't allow the season to leave you a bitter person.
So when we're looking at ourselves as individuals, you've spoken about the fact that if I don't have money that can last me 3 months when I'm not going to work,
Yep,
it means I'm in trouble.
you're actually in trouble.
I'm not prepared.
You are not
And I
prepared.
like the fact that look at what's driving you and not
What you're
what
driving,
you are driving.
you're right.
You know, you might be comfortable in your one room
You're right.
at the moment. I might be having a mansion, not sleeping.
Mm.
And even with COVID, when you're not settled, it will come
Yeah, you're
and
right.
attack you.
You're right.
So really, when we are saying your key message to us as Zimbabweans in terms of being prepared and looking at it as a post-COVID, I know you've given us a lot of nuggets, but really now I want you to give us that take-home message that you are saying. This is what I'm leaving you with.
All right. So what causes financial mess? Number one is people don't make enough money. Number two, they spend all of it. So the $500 that you're getting is capital. So the mistake many people make is we spend capital with people who are spending profits. So purpose of capital is for you to invest it, for it to bear more money. So if you've got $500, this is what I'll tell you. Rather than buying an expensive phone, I'll give you a very common example, iPhone 12. You're looking about 1.5. So rather than put 1.5 in a broke pocket, why don't you actually invest in livestock? Buy 3-4 beasts and a bull. In a short space of time, these things will have multiplied. They would even multiply further. Guess what? You can actually sell and buy your iPhone Pro Max. Yet you've got something. So I think one of the things we need to invest in is our financial literacy as Zimbabweans. In Zimbabwe, the bulk of our financial blunders are a manifestation of lack of financial literacy. The moment we realize why we need to be financially literate, we even begin to make better decisions financially. You'll be shocked at the number of people who park very expensive vehicles on rented properties. The next thing, they're complaining rent.
Yeah.
Many people right now are paying thousands in rentals. Why? Because out there, they've portrayed a certain picture. And the certain picture and the life on social media is putting them under even more pressure to be what they're not. And the bulk of the times, these things, in one way or the other, they'll still come out. So get off social media. Don't post unnecessarily. Unfollow pages which put unnecessary pressure on you. Begin to engage with people who are seriously serious. And begin to learn from people who are minding their business. By the way, the people with the real money who are not making noise. The people who are so wealthy such that they don't even want to be known. Make them your mentors. Make them your mentors. Then that way, you will get proper advice. And you will learn how to mind your business. By the way, minding your business, that can be one of the greatest occupations you can ever put yourself.
Well, you heard it from the advocate. The need to mind your own business. The need even to leave spaces that put a lot of pressure on you. If you're on Facebook and you're on a page that puts a lot of pressure on you, he is saying it's better for your sanity, for your own good, leave those pages. Really, a lot of good messages, key messages coming from him. And one key message that I want to leave us with that came from is do not spend your capital with people who are spending profits. And these messages, I'm sure you would agree with me, even post COVID, they are quite relevant. Let's ensure that we do follow the COVID protocols, maintaining social distance, mask up, sanitize. Until next week, it's goodbye and let's stay safe.